Welcome to Film Phreeks. This is Justin Llewellyn.
And Eddie Williams.
And tonight we're going to be doing an audio review of a film that came out back in February that we missed in theaters, but we actually got a chance to watch it recently as it's been out. And we're going to be talking about Clint Eastwood's directed film called The 1517 to Paris, which is actually based on the real life story of the three brave men, Spencer Stone, Anthony Sadler, and Alec Scarlatos, who were the brave men who stopped a terrorist in 2015 at the Thalys train. That was basically, it was a train that was on its way from Amsterdam to Paris. And basically this film is about, Clint Eastwood basically made this film as a way to show not only the real life story about these guys, but he actually casted the real life guys in the roles as the main characters. And
which is a very good intention to do. You know, I can see the intentions, the good intentions of this. Clint Eastwood's a really good patriotic guy, and I can see that he gets into these a lot. And for the most part, they're pretty damn good. But yeah, Clint Eastwood, he likes doing these patriotic things. He's a patriotic guy, and for the most part, a lot of his patriotic films are pretty good.
Yeah, they are. And this film kind of got me a little curious because I do like when he kind of makes these based on true story movies, because in the past, Clint Eastwood I admire as a director, and he's been one of my favorite directors. He's made countless movies based on true events like American Sniper, 310 to Yuma. Sully, and you also had Flags of Our Fathers. You know, all these like kind of patriotic films that he does that I actually really get a kick out of. I haven't seen a couple of those. I haven't seen.
He's known. I mean, he's a pretty good director on this, but I'm a little different on you when was first coming out. I actually knew this was going to be a bad idea from the get-go, only because I knew the events of what happened. I actually remember on the news, really vividly when that happened. This event, and I'm not trying to downgrade it, more power to the guy who saved those, innocent lives that day. Thank you very much, you guys. I'm not going to downgrade their heroism because they're fucking heroes. But I mean, they acted so well in real life. They actually took the dude down like 10 minutes, and I sat there myself. How are they going to make a movie out of that?
Yeah, that was my biggest thing going into it, because when I read about the real life story, I was like, so how do you take an event like that and stretch it into a full-length movie? Well, for this movie,
and I'm not trying to downgrade the attack, but I mean, this terrorist literally failed miserably at his plan. He walked in, got one person, and practically got his ass whooped by, he had a gun, and he got his ass whooped by three guys with their fists. And it was over in mere seconds.
Yeah. and so,
I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to downgrade it, but I mean, this was like the most fastest terrorist attack that failed miserably ever in history. It was over quick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so to basically go with that approach, Eastwood decided to structure the film in leading up to the events of the train attack. So the film basically deals with them starting out with their childhood, them leading to their time in the military, and then eventually leading up to them going on vacation, and that leads into the attack. So it kind of has like a weird structure going into it. But I can see why he did it. But to be honest, out of all the films that I've seen directed by Clint Eastwood, this is probably his worst that I've seen.
Yes, this is, I agree with you, out of anything I've ever saw, and there's been one or two, it is kind of just more boring, not my type. It's more favored for older crowds. But this actually was his worst. He failed horribly at that with good intentions, I will say that. Good intentions failed horribly.
Yes. So to kind of start out with, to kind of go with the story, it basically starts. It actually the way the movie's structured, it already starts out with them on the train, and there's flashbacks in between that are leading up to the events, the way it's structured. And already from the get-go, I have a problem with this because the way it's edited, it's never too clear where we're at half the time.
And this is one of those films that like the fact that it does the current story, you know, where now we're start when you're a kid and build up, and then it does another flashback. That has worked in films, even phenomenal films. But I have a problem with this method because the fact that Clint Eastwood uses it maybe twice or three times, and then we go pretty much a whole full hour without seeing it until the events happen at the end.
Yeah.
So it made the whole flashbacky thing pointless. Like, did we really need that? No, we didn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then because it starts out with them as children in the flashbacks, and it shows them first meeting when they're kids and they're getting bullied at school and all that. And from the get-go, I could already tell that we were in trouble because the kids that they got to play, the child actors, really were not that good.
No, they weren't. They weren't good. And not only that, here's where you're having a structurally problem in this part. For one, this is where probably the only time in the whole movie you actually see hired actors, like real actors you've seen in movies, you know, famous actors. Like, I remember the principal, he played in that 17 Again or whatever it was. He played in some comedies. Then they had that one kind of guy that was catching them in the hall. I forgot what he played in, and he's played in comedies.
Yeah.
And then you have the two moms of the two white kids, and they're famous for playing comedies and chick flicks. So it's like, okay, what's with these weird, and you have Steve Urkel in it for about like a minute. It's like, what's with like everybody being comedic actors? Like, literally everybody is a comedic actor.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I felt the casting there was also kind of like out of the ordinary, you know.
It was out of the ordinary, and it was not good. It was just weird. It was out of ordinary in a bad way.
Yeah, and not just that, but also part of the problem I have with it too is the way the film is going on with their childhood and stuff. It really kind of shoves that off like fast because all we see them do is just like meet each other. They hang out a couple of times, and then basically something happens.
That kid suddenly gets where the kid goes to another school.
Yeah, and they really rushed that out fast.
And they did because you abruptly see them when their current age is out of nowhere. You think that there was maybe another 15-20 minutes left of this building up. And it's not. It's just like, boom. You know, they're fucking, hey, surprise, motherfucker. They're already the same age with the current, you know, storyline. I'm like, and not only that, this movie right here, I want to mention, has a horrible tone deaf. It is really horribly tone deaf in this. You have a coming of age, kind of like It, the remake of It, where you have the kid thing. Then you have a God's Not Dead type feel to this film because it plays a whole religious Christian-y thing, and you're wondering, did Clint Eastwood making a Christian film?
Yeah, I was kind of questioning about it.
It felt like one of those low-budget Kirk Cameron type things, like God's Not Dead-y type films. And then the film becomes a war film maybe for a split second, and then a terrorist attack film like Patriots Day. So you got four types of tones going on, and it doesn't know what it wants to be.
On top of that, you also have unintentional moments that are trying to basically be like comedic moments, I guess, where the dialogue, the way that some of the adults are talking, comes across like it's supposed to be a comedy, which I felt was so out of place.
Oh yeah, very out of place. And then, like you said, they pretty much, you know, these kids keep getting in trouble. You know, the one ends up going to another school, and then abruptly now, where they're older and they're joining the military.
Yeah, and then when they get there too, with them going to the army and stuff, they actually kind of go by that even faster because one of my kind of interests that I thought going into it was, okay, how are they going to really show? Are they going to really show how these guys went through their training and stuff and all that to, you know, be in the army, or I'm sorry, the
Well, Well, here's the problem. They actually forget about the black dude and then the dark hair guy's character, and they just focus on the bald dude.
Yeah, and basically they and when they go through all this, they actually brush that out pretty fast, because other than them doing like obstacle courses and things like that, they really don't really show much of the development with them being in the military.
No, like, basically you get this bald guy, he's trying to test out, special forces and doing other stuff. He kind of fails. He goes to these schools, these, like, classes that's in the military, and basically, here's where I have another fucking issue, and this is where you start really seeing editing issues bad. I mean, editing is fucking atrocious. Well, they clarify it later in the fucking film, but while this guy's going to fucking this, like, he's in America, he's going to one of those little military schools. I guess he was learning, like, combat medic or something. You have that scene, then you have a scene where it's in Afghanistan, and it goes directly back to that scene. Well, that would only work if you're clarifying that the other friend of theirs is in Afghanistan, which they do clarify that later, but they don't clarify that for a while, so you're like, okay, how did he go from the classroom to fuck?
Yeah, I found that really out of, like misconjointed. I'm like, okay, you're going from here and then going back to here. That's kind of weird.
Where, they did the Afghanistan, they did the combat medic, the school, and then they did the flashback with the train thing, another flashback, and you're asking yourself, where the fuck am I at?
Yeah.
Where am I at?
Yeah, it's all over the place with the editing, and it felt so choppy at times.
Yeah.
But then as it goes along,
let's go on to another problem with this film, with the dialogue.
Oh.
Holy shit.
Oh, dude, at the beginning.
Oh my.
Okay, I can kind of forgive the unintentional hilarious dialogue at the beginning if the film kind of like picked up on that. But my biggest problem with this film as far as the dialogue, other than the fact that you have the three main guys who can't really act well, but that's kind of understandable because they're not actors, they're real life soldiers. I get that. But the thing is that there's actually a point to when later on in the film, after they go through their military and they're pretty much on leave, there's a point where they end up going on vacation, and this film has some of the most like boring and unengaging dialogue I've heard in a movie like this.
Oh my god! Well, the whole thing is really just stupid dialogue. It feels like something out of YouTube, where you're actually watching YouTube videos of soldiers talk to friends, other soldiers, and they talk shit to each other, like did you just call me a shithead and stuff like that. You can look at their face and everything. You can see they're either reading their lines, or Clint Eastwood gave them the go-ahead to make their own improvised lines, and they've never done acting before, so they're just saying random shit.
Yeah, and the way they come across, it is not in the least compelling at all. Like, it makes me feel like I'm watching somebody who took a camcorder and went on vacation in like Europe or somewhere and said, "Yeah, I'll make a movie out of this."
Yeah. And then basically this is where this movie just fucking drags to the point of me pulling my fucking hair out. We get this part where they get to the vacation, and this is literally the rest of the movie up until the train thing. And I'm not talking about just you let us know you're in Italy or whatever. They literally travel Europe, and we're watching them go and sightseeing the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
We actually watch them eat and go out to eat. I mean, they literally show us every little detail of what they did, and I'm so surprised that we didn't fucking see them go in the toilet and fucking shit, and how they wiped their ass. I mean, they literally were fucking. I had to watch them chew. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm just like, man, pick up, do something. This is so boring.
Oh, and they just fucking sightsee after sightsee after sightsee after sightsee. And you'll know what I mean when you watch YouTube videos of people who go and get to travel everywhere, and it's very unscripted, of course, because it's not trying to be scripted. It's trying to, it's just a YouTube video. And that's what this movie, a motion picture, made it feel like. I was watching that low budget of fucking dialogue.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then basically, and there's a lot of points where it just feels like you were saying, it's unscripted because they're just having normal conversations. There's no conflict involved. There's no
the fucking words does not make any fucking sense. Like, they're literally given dialogue and they just said, well, talk about how you talk at home or online with your buddies. And it was just like, you got a war movie, you're building up stuff. There's nothing about the movie. It's just about like, hey man, ain't that picture pretty cool? Yeah, that's a pretty cool picture.
Yeah.
And hey, do you want to go have fun over and go see these things? And then they say random shit about, going sightseeing at World War II, areas and shit, and they're just talking randomly about from that, and then they talk about, let's go have some pizza and pick up some girls.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, man. And I'm not trying to downgrade. With good intentions, I can see Clint Eastwood wanted to use real people, and that's the patriotism out of them, and I like that. But that's only a pass if this movie was a documentary, and this movie should have been a documentary. It should have never been a motion picture.
Yeah.
No offense.
Yeah.
Because I hate to say it, I mean, you're going to get criticized making a motion picture out of it and forcing it, and frankly, these guys can't act to save their lives.
No. And then it
just tore the film to shreds.
It does.
They're acting.
And it all boils down, it all leads up to them getting on the train after all the countless flashbacks that, honestly, every time that it would flash back to something, cut back to the train, you could actually make a drinking game out of that, because I kind of like 4 or 5 times it cut back to that fucking train.
Yeah.
So it all leads back to the beginning where they're on the train and we
Not
see.
to mention, don't you like the fucking song choices they choose for the background? That shit doesn't fucking. All right, the Murder Oriental Express had that one song. I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah, it's by
trailer.
It's by that band Imagine Dragons. It's called Believer.
Yeah, that song. They actually play that, and they play it in the most awkward fucking scene, and it's a guy brushing his fucking teeth.
Yeah, and he's also doing obstacle courses in the army.
Yeah. It's just the movie's mood does not fit some of the fucking songs they put in this movie.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But also, when it all leads up to this event that happens, I'll admit, this is pretty much the only saving grace for me of the film. We get to the event that happens, like you heard about in 2015, where a terrorist came on. Basically, he was strapped to weapons inside this backpack of his, and a guy walks in the bathroom and ends up seeing that he's armed, and then the guy tries to run away but then gets shot, and then that triggers them pretty much getting up out of their seats to sneak up on the guy. And you do see I actually will give Eastwood this. He does know how to craft this scene by having them actually attack the guy and actually do what we all were building up to.
Yeah, and I will admit it was a pretty cool scene, because this is actually a pretty gruesome scene where they're fighting this terrorist off, and he's fighting back. He's got a knife and everything. He slashes one guy pretty fucking good.
Yeah, he slashes him in the back of his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they take him down, and then basically after they take him down, they have to prevent the guy from bleeding, and they go into pretty graphic detail when that guy got shot in his neck.
I know. I was actually surprised he was even survived, because from what I'm getting at, his jugular was severed. Usually that's death.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. But he saved the dude. Now, that was a pretty shocking thing.
Yeah, and then basically it just ends like you would expect. They end up...
Oh, and I do want to say another blooper. Me and my old lady she mentioned this to me, and I noticed it too. So whenever they go and meet the French president, in the French president's congratulating him, thank you for saving all the people's lives and all that stuff. You notice how that dude, his arm, he's got a cast on, but it shows the scene. It shows a scene where it shows the back of his neck. He has not one scratch on his neck.
What? I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember vividly, it shows that terrorist stabbed him in the back of his neck and slashed it open.
Yeah, I remember that.
So how did he not have a scratch on his back of his neck?
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. I'm sorry, but Eastwood, man, you failed horribly at this film. This movie was bad.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it was.
I think he did more harm of the events. I think the kids' actings actually spat on their own event that happened. You know, they're trying to tell a story, but Eastwood's direction and these kids' directions actually spit on the real events that happened.
Yeah, to get some of my cons, to pretty much go into our cons, like we said, the editing is fucking horrible with the way it's jumping back and forth with the current train scene and back into the flashbacks. You got actors, not just the actors who play the soldiers are bad, but you also got everyone else. Even the comedic actors, even their dialogue was horrible.
Oh, dude, bad casting choice. Fucking dialogue was some of the worst dialogue I think I've seen this year.
Yeah, and not to mention you have some of the most boring fucking pacing that I've seen in a while, where literally the whole story didn't even need to lead up to all that. It could have just completely.
There was no story. Some things can't be told on film.
Yeah.
This movie, Eastwood, I'm sorry, man. Not everything needs to be told on film.
Yeah,
and this is one of them.
I get why
it's a 10-minute event that fucking happened. Let's just leave it at that. And I'm not trying to be a dick and saying anything to demonize these kids' heroism, what they did that day. It's just it should have been a documentary.
Yeah, and on top of that, the way that now if I had any real pros that I would say with the film, I'd say that the event that actually takes place it's well shot. It is well executed. The way it's handled, and it is quite intense for when they do it.
Towards the end, the intensity is the end, and I will give Clint Eastwood great intentions of not wanting to replace the real people with actors. I kind of like that he took that chance.
I do too.
They should have maybe they could have sat down with the guys and, Eastwood is to blame too. This writing, I don't know what the fuck. This isn't Eastwood here. This was fucking this was bad. This writing was fucking bad. But he could have maybe helped these kids act a little bit better, give some acting classes and stuff.
Yeah, it would have came out a lot better. But that's the other thing too, like you said, I like the idea of him actually casting the real life guys to play him, which is cool, but it was not executed the way that it should have been. So there's that. But also I will say that the cinematography was also good at least as well. So there's at least that.
Other than that was it. That's all the whole movie pretty much was a disaster.
Yeah, and with that being said,
comes to my mind is I'm going to give this a very, very low disaster grade on the Film Phreeks meter.
I am as well. I'm giving this an extremely low disaster rating on the Film Phreeks meter as well. I was going to give it a flat line, but I felt like because there was at least that part toward the end that was kind of saves it a little bit, and because the film also actually does kind of, pay respect to the whole guys in real life on its intentions.
That's why I didn't give it a flat line, because I felt like the good intentions was pretty nice. It was actually really good of Clint Eastwood to do what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to give it a flat line.
Yeah. So with that, I give it also an extremely low disaster rating. And for those of you who have also seen the 1517 to Paris, let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel and check out more of our other reviews here on our channel and our website at filmphreeks.com. And we'll be seeing you in our next review. We'll see you later.
All right. See ya.